Have you ever felt like you were living two lives, one before a major change and one after? Let me tell you a story. My name's Emily, and for years, my world was split neatly in half. Everything before my mom remarried, and everything after Daniel, my stepfather, stepped into our home. Now, you might be thinking, if Daniel was kind, what held you back from letting him in? Here's the thing. After my dad passed away when I was 9, grief settled into our family like a stubborn fog. Even as my mom, Sarah, tried to keep our world spinning, my dad's absence colored everything, a classic case of unresolved trauma, which psychologists call complicated grief. When Daniel arrived, he brought hope for my mom, but for me, his presence felt like a threat to memory. That's the paradox of blended families. New happiness can feel like betrayal to the past. I put up emotional barriers, or what therapists call defensive walls, to protect my sense of loyalty to my dad. Daniel, to his credit, never pushed. He practiced what family counselors call respectful proximity, close enough to show he cared, distant enough not to invade. Yet for years, I saw him as an outsider, an observer looking in through frosted glass, never quite welcome at the table of my trust. Isn't it strange how sometimes the people who want to understand us the most are the ones we resist the hardest? I wonder how many of us have missed out on connection simply because we're afraid that letting someone new in means letting go of someone we've lost. Let's set the stage. A Friday night, 16 years old, the weight of a bad grade and soured friendships pressing down like a storm cloud. I stormed past dinner, locked myself in my room, and wished for the impossible. My dad, alive again, reassuring me that I mattered. Now, imagine. You're curled up in bed, tears on your pillow, and you hear a knock. Not your mom's familiar and gentle, but Daniel's hesitant, almost shy. "Emily, can I come in for a minute?" he asks. Would you have let him in? I almost didn't, but I did. He came bearing a mug of hot cocoa, a simple act, but a strategic one. In psychology, this is called a bid for connection, a small gesture that signals care without demanding reciprocation. He didn't push me to talk. He didn't hand out advice. He just sat, sipping his own cocoa, letting silence do the heavy lifting. And then, he said something quietly radical. Those moments aren't endings. They're just steps. That was a cognitive reframe, a way of shifting perspective from finality to process. I didn't realize it then, but that's the beginning of resilience, redefining failure as a step, not a stop sign. Suddenly, I couldn't hold it in. The words about my project, my friend, my fears poured out. And Daniel did what few adults do when teens open their hearts. He listened, really listened. No interruption, no judgment. In that moment, the wall I'd built began to crack. And for the first time, I wondered, could he become something more than just my mom's husband? What does it take to shift someone from outsider to family? Sometimes, it's not grand gestures, but the accumulation of small, steady acts. That night, after hours of stories, laughter, and honest words, Daniel said, "I know I'm not your dad. I never want to take his place. But I hope you know I'm here. Always." That declaration was more than polite reassurance. It's what family therapists call boundary affirmation, honoring the past without trying to erase it. For me, it was permission to let another person care, without feeling like I was betraying my father's memory. Over time, Daniel and I built rituals: late-night cocoa, car rides with music, fixing things around the house. These are what sociologists refer to as microbonds. Like stitches in fabric, tiny repeated actions create strength. It wasn't an instant transformation, but a slow, organic growth. It taught me that family is less about genetics, your DNA, and more about presence, effort, and the choice to show up. Years later, seeing Daniel cheer at my graduations, I realized he never tried to replace my dad. He just stood with us, filling in the spaces left by loss. Isn't that what true belonging is? Choosing one another, over and over, especially when it's hard? So, if you find yourself at the edge of letting someone new in, remember, It might not be about erasing what came before. Sometimes, it's about daring to believe that new love can coexist with old grief. One cup of cocoa, one open heart. That's all it takes to start rewriting what family means.